Sometimes life does not break us loudly. Sometimes it does so quietly, in small moments that no one notices. Adam learned this early. He was the kind of man people described as reliable. Not impressive, not extraordinary, just dependable. He woke up before sunrise every day, drank his tea without sugar, ironed his clothes carefully, and left home with a silent promise to return before dark. His world was simple: a small rented house at the edge of the city, a modest job at a printing press, and a family that meant everything to him. His wife, Sarah, was warmth in human form. She had a smile that softened even the hardest days, and a voice that carried patience instead of complaints. Their daughter, Lily, was 9 years old, curious, thoughtful, and far too observant for her age. She noticed things adults missed: pauses in conversations, tired eyes, forced smiles. Money was always tight, but love filled the gaps. Or at least that's what Adam believed. The printing press had been struggling for months. Orders were fewer, machines older, and rumors heavier. One afternoon, the manager called Adam into his office. There were no speeches, no apologies, just a folded paper and a quiet sentence that echoed longer than it should have. "We have to let you go." Adam walked home that day slower than usual. The streets felt unfamiliar, as if the city had shifted slightly out of place. When he reached the house, he stood outside longer than normal, listening to laughter coming from inside. Lily was telling Sarah a story, exaggerating every detail, both of them laughing freely. Adam smiled, but it hurt. He did not tell them that day, or the next, or the one after that. Instead, he pretended. He left home every morning at the same time, dressed the same way, carrying the same bag, only now it was empty. He spent his days walking the city, sitting in public libraries, applying for jobs that never replied, and returning home with tired feet and rehearsed smiles. Sarah noticed the silence first. Adam spoke less, laughed less, and stared longer at nothing. But she chose patience over pressure. Lily noticed everything else. She noticed how groceries became simpler, how lights were turned off more often, how Adam lingered outside job offices longer than usual when they passed by together. One evening, she heard her parents whispering in the kitchen when they thought she was asleep. Sarah's voice was calm but fragile. Adam's was quiet, broken in places. That night, Lily cried silently into her pillow, confused by a fear she couldn't name. Weeks passed, then months. Rejections piled up, savings thinned, pride grew heavier. One evening, Adam came home to find Sarah sitting at the table, unpaid bills spread out like quiet accusations. She didn't raise her voice, she didn't cry. She simply asked, "Are you okay?" That was when Adam broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a slow collapse of everything he had been holding together. He told her everything: the job loss, the pretending, the fear of being seen as weak. Sarah listened without interrupting. When she finished, she reached across the table and held his hands. "We'll get through this," she said softly. "Together." But Adam wasn't convinced. The following weeks were harder. Adam took temporary work wherever he could: delivery shifts, warehouse nights, cleaning jobs that paid little but drained everything. He came home exhausted, sometimes frustrated, sometimes silent. One night, after a long shift, he snapped at Lily over something small, a spilled glass of water. The look on her face stayed with him longer than the anger itself. He apologized immediately, but guilt settled deep in his chest. That night, Adam couldn't sleep. The next morning, Lily woke up early. She dressed carefully, packed her school bag, and wrote something on a piece of paper before placing it gently beside Adam's keys. He found it later that day. It read, "Dear Dad, I know you are tired. I know things are hard. I don't need toys or big things. I just need you to smile again. I believe in you. Love, Lily. Adam sat on the edge of the bed holding the note, tears falling freely for the first time in months. That same week, something small changed. At the local community center, Adam noticed a sign asking for volunteers to help teach basic printing and design skills to teenagers. He hesitated. Volunteering wouldn't pay bills, but something pulled him inside. The first day was awkward. The equipment was old, the rooms small, and the students unsure. But as Adam explained how ink met paper, how ideas became something real, he felt something return. Purpose. He began volunteering 3 evenings a week. Sarah noticed the difference immediately. Adam came home tired but lighter. He talked more, smiled more. Lily noticed too. She started waiting by the door on volunteer nights, excited to hear his stories. Weeks later, the grant director approached Adam. "We're applying for a small grant," she said. "If it gets approved, we'll need someone full-time. You'd be perfect." Adam didn't allow himself to hope. Life had taught him caution. But hope, once awakened, is hard to silence. Months passed. Then one afternoon, a call came. The grant was approved. The position was his. It wasn't high-paying, it wasn't glamorous, but it was stable, meaningful, real. That evening, Adam came home earlier than usual. He brought takeout food, nothing fancy, just something warm. When Sarah opened the door, she saw his face and knew something had changed. He didn't make a speech. He didn't celebrate loudly. He simply said, "We're going to be okay." Lily hugged him tightly, holding on longer than usual. Life didn't suddenly become perfect. There were still bills, still worries, still hard days. But something had shifted. Adam no longer carried the weight alone. He allowed help. He allowed hope. And slowly the house filled with laughter again, not the loud kind, but the steady kind that stays. Because sometimes the happiest endings are not about winning big or rising fast. Sometimes they're about standing back up, holding the hands beside you, and choosing to believe again. The weeks that followed were different. Adam's routine changed, but the rhythm of life remained comforting. He still rose early, still drank his tea without sugar, but now his walks to the center carried purpose. He found himself noticing small details in life. The soft rustle of leaves outside the center, the excited chatter of teenagers discovering something new, the simple satisfaction of seeing a project come to life under their hands. Sarah often joined him at the center after her office hours. She didn't do much formally, just helped with organization or handed out materials, but her presence was enough. She had a quiet way of making people feel seen, including Adam. She never once reminded him of past struggles or whispered about money or fears. She simply walked beside him, steady and unwavering. Lily, of course, continued to be the brightest spark in their lives. She had developed a routine of her own, drawing little thank you notes for her father, arranging flowers on the windowsill for her mother, or reading quietly by the fireplace in the evenings while Adam and Sarah prepared dinner. She was growing up in the quiet strength of her parents' love, learning resilience not through lectures, but by observing how they handled life's uncertainties. One rainy afternoon, Adam stayed late at the center. He helped a student named Michael finish a complicated printing assignment. Michael was shy, reserved, and prone to giving up too easily. But Adam persisted gently, explaining patiently, showing him how to correct mistakes without feeling like a failure. When Michael finally completed the task, he looked at Adam with pride shining in his eyes. "Thank you," Michael said softly. "I couldn't have done this without you." Adam smiled, feeling warmth that had nothing to do with accomplishment or money. He realized that hope wasn't just about personal survival. It was about giving it to others too. That evening, as he walked home through puddles reflecting the dim streetlights, Adam thought about how fragile life was and how delicate happiness could be. It wasn't a grand event. It was stitched together by small victories, acts of kindness, and the love that survived even in quiet despair. At home, Sarah was waiting with warm soup and candles flickering softly on the table. Lily jumped up when she saw him, her cheeks rosy from running in the rain. "You stayed late," she exclaimed. "I did," I replied, ruffling her hair, "but it was worth it." They ate together, the soft sounds of rain outside adding to the cozy atmosphere. After dinner, Lily went to her room, leaving Adam and Sarah alone in the living room. "You're different now," Sarah said quietly, watching him stir the tea in his cup. Adam looked up, surprised. "Different?" he asked.
"Yes," she said. "You've learned to let go a little, to trust that things can be okay even when you can't see the whole path ahead. You've found hope again, and it's contagious. I see it in Lily, I see it in me, and I see it in you." Adam swallowed, emotion tightening his throat. Words weren't enough. They hadn't been for months. So he simply reached for her hand, holding it tightly, silently agreeing that life could be beautiful again. Not perfect, but beautiful in its small, steady ways. Days turned into weeks, and the family grew stronger together. Adam became more confident at the center, students began to look up to him, and small projects he initiated started attracting local attention. Soon, other community centers invited him to share his methods. Sarah's quiet encouragement never wavered, and Lily thrived in this atmosphere of gentle optimism. One Saturday afternoon, Adam received an unexpected message. A local newspaper wanted to feature his story, the story of how he had risen from hardship to help others, and how a small family had held together through challenges. At first, he hesitated. Public attention wasn't something he sought, but Sarah nudged him gently. "You've helped so many people," she said. "Let the world see that kindness and hope matter." Adam agreed. The feature was written delicately, highlighting his journey, the support of his family, and the ripple effect of giving hope even when one feels hopeless. When the newspaper published it, Adam didn't feel pride in the usual way. Instead, he felt gratitude for the struggles, for the lessons, for the family that made everything bearable. That night, the three of them sat by the fireplace, sipping warm cocoa. Lily had a new drawing in her hand, a picture of their little home glowing in the sun, with smiles on every face. "See," she said, "we're happy again, all of us." Adam smiled, looking at Sarah. They shared a look that needed no words. They had survived the quiet storms, held each other through fear and doubt, and found joy not in perfection, but in togetherness. And for the first time in a long time, Adam allowed himself to believe that life would continue to be hard at times, but also full of hope, laughter, and love that never faded. Because happiness wasn't a grand event, it was the quiet magic of ordinary days shared by hearts that refused to give up on each other. If you want, I can continue with part 3, which will wrap up the story fully, giving a heartfelt, hopeful, YouTube-ready ending. Do you want me to continue? Perfect. Here's part 3, continuous story, final part, full, emotional, hopeful, YouTube-ready ending. Life settled into a rhythm that felt like a gentle heartbeat, steady, comforting, alive. Adam's work at the center had grown into something meaningful beyond what he had imagined. Teenagers who once lacked direction now looked forward to his classes, and the small projects they created together became symbols of persistence, creativity, and care. Sarah started a small corner in their home, turning it into a mini art and reading space for Lily. The laughter that had once dimmed now returned in full ease, echoing through the small house with effortless ease. Even simple meals were filled with conversation, shared dreams, and stories of small triumphs, moments Adam had once thought too ordinary to matter, but now cherished. One sunny morning, Adam received a phone call from a former client from his old printing job. They had heard about his work at the community center and wanted to collaborate on a small project, paying fairly and offering steady work. Adam hesitated. Old fears whispered that success would never last. But then he thought of Sarah, of Lily, and the note that Lily had once left for him. He remembered the long nights of struggle,
The silent walks through the city, the quiet moments of despair that had shaped him into someone stronger. "I think this could be good," he said to Sarah later that day. "It will be," she replied softly, smiling with confidence that never faltered.
The project turned out to be more than just a job. It was a bridge, a way to combine Adam's skills, his passion, and his love for helping others. Slowly, opportunities started to appear, each one opening a door just a little wider than the last. He never forgot the hard months, but he no longer allowed them to define his future. One evening, Adam and Sarah sat on the porch as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. Lily ran around the yard, giggling at shadows stretching across the grass. Adam watched her and realized something profound. Happiness was not about avoiding struggles, but about facing them together, hand in hand, heart to heart. Every tear, every sleepless night, every quiet moment of fear had led them to this peace, this quiet joy that settled deep inside. "Dad," Lily called, running toward him, "look at this rainbow." Adam smiled, watching the colors stretch across the sky. He realized that life was full of unexpected beauty, often hidden behind clouds of worry and doubt. But when one refused to give up, when hope was nurtured even in the smallest ways, it always appeared. He thought about the journey, the moments of despair, the sleepless nights, the fear of not being enough, and understood that every step had been worth it. Love had held them together, hope had guided them forward, and kindness had become their compass. That night, as the family sat together for dinner, Adam felt a sense of contentment deeper than any success or recognition. It was simple, steady, and undeniable. They had found their happiness, not as something fleeting, but as a foundation that could withstand life's storms. As Lily drifted off to sleep later that night, Adam and Sarah watched over her silently, knowing that they had created a world of safety, love, and encouragement for her. They had weathered challenges, faced fears, and discovered that the greatest triumphs often come from the smallest acts of resilience and care. And in that quiet, peaceful home, under the glow of soft lamplight and the gentle hum of the city outside, Adam whispered to himself, "We're okay. We're really okay." Because sometimes the most beautiful endings are not loud or dramatic. They are quiet, they are steady, and they are filled with hope. They were happy, not because life was perfect, but because they chose love, togetherness, and hope above all else, and that made all the difference.